Watch this.
Yeah, but I shoot with this hand.
The greatest adventure is what lies ahead.
Shall my compensation be the same? What is the formula for compensation, sir?
Well, how about $10,000 in cash?
Do I? Well, let's just break that down.
No, wait.
Well, no, let's just break it down.
Wait a minute. You see, that figure just came to the top
Well,
of my
let's
head.
just say, for argument's sake, let's say 20,000. Let's say 30,000. Let's say, I tell you what, let's say 50,000. 50,000 to 14 years. 14 years times 365 days is about, I'll say about 5,000 days. Now you divide that by 50,000, that's like $10 a day. That's not even minimum wage. To say nothing about the family that I lost, the respect that I lost. I don't think you really understand what we're talking about here.
Accept all the responsibility?
The responsibility is mine, correct. Please go on.
Gold, dollar, necklace, moon, paint. Answer, please. Are you all right? 405 volts. The answer is moon.
Whether the learner likes it or not, we
But he might be dead in there.
must continue. Go on, please.
You're going to keep giving, what, 450 volts every shot now?
That's correct. Continue. The next word is white.
White, cloud, horse, rock, house. Answer, please. The answer is horse, 450 volts. Next word, sad, face, music, clown, girl. The answer is face, 450 volts.
The results, as I observe them in the laboratory, are disturbing. They raise the possibility that human nature cannot be counted on to insulate men from brutality and inhumane treatment at the direction of malevolent authority. A substantial proportion of people do what they are told to do, irrespective of the content of the act and without limitations of conscience, so long as they perceive that the command comes from a legitimate authority. If in this study an anonymous experimenter could successfully command adults to subdue a 50-year-old man and force on him painful electric shocks against his protests, one can only wonder what government, with its vastly greater authority and prestige,
known for its educational institutions, the Jesuit order, as the Society of Jesus is commonly known, has long played an incredibly influential, albeit secretive, role in the destinies of nations, organizations, and individuals. Rulers, presidents, scholars, and even Catholics themselves, who are aware of the evil perpetrated by this powerful, far-reaching order, have left on record grave warnings that all should heed. Following is a compilation of quotes from a variety of sources. Some admit that their own diabolical organizations were modeled on Jesuit principles. Others give warning. A number of those who sought to warn did so at the cost of their lives. World's Last Chance would encourage all to carefully study the following material. Proverbs 1:5 tells us, "A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels." Ignatius Loyola, 1491 to 1556, founder of the Society of Jesus and its first superior general. Nor will it contribute a little to our advantage if with caution and secrecy we foment and heighten the animosities that arise among princes and great men, even to such a degree that they may weaken each other. But if there appear any likelihood of reconciliation, then as soon as possible let us endeavor to be the mediators, lest others prevent us. Finally, let all with such artfulness gain the ascendant over princes, noblemen, and the magistrates of every place, that they may be ready at our beck, even to sacrifice their nearest relations and most intimate friends, when we say it is for our interest and advantage. Let proper methods be used to get knowledge of the animosities that arise among great men, that we may have a finger in reconciling their differences. For by this means we shall gradually become acquainted with their friends and secret affairs, and of necessity engage one of the parties in our interests. Immediately upon the death of any person of post, let them take timely care to get some friend of our society preferred in his room. But this must be cloaked with such cunning and management as to avoid giving the least suspicion of our intending to usurp the prince's authority. Putting aside all private judgment, we should always be ready to accept this principle: I will believe that the white I see is black, if the hierarchical church so defines it. Princes and persons of distinction everywhere must, by all means, be so managed that we may have their ear, and that will easily secure their hearts, by which way of proceeding all persons will become our creatures, and no one will dare to give the society the least disquiet or opposition. Finally, the society must endeavor to effect this at least, that having gotten the favor and authority of princes, those who do not love them at least fear them. Paolo Sarpi, 1552 to 1623, a Venetian patriot, scholar, scientist, and church reformer. They are a public plague and the plague of the world. From the Jesuit colleges there never is sent a pupil obedient to his father, devoted to his country, loyal to his prince. Every species of vice finds its patronage in them. There is no perjury, nor sacrilege, nor parricide, nor incest, nor rapine, nor fraud, nor treason, which cannot be masked as meritorious beneath the mantle of their dispensation. Muccio Vitelleschi, 1562 to 1645, 6th Superior General of the Society of Jesus. When sovereigns require a Jesuit's opinion on any subject, the Jesuit in question is to report the matter to his superior, who is to lay it before several Jesuits for discussion. The resolution formed after this consultation is supplied to the Jesuit, who has been consulted by the sovereign. priest Antoine Arnaud, 1612 to 1694. Do you wish to excite troubles, to provoke revolution, to produce the total ruin of your country? Call in the Jesuits and build magnificent colleges for these hot-headed religionists. Suffer those audacious priests in their dictatorial and dogmatic tone to decide on affairs of state. Michelangelo Tamburini, 1648 to 1730, 14th Superior General of the Society of Jesus. See, sir, from this chamber I govern not only to Paris, but to China, not only to China, but to all the world, without anyone to know how I do it. Pope Clement XIV, 1705 to 1774. Following are Pope Clement XIV's words upon signing the Bull of Suppression and Extinction of the Jesuits. A bull is the strongest legal document a pope can issue. The suppression is accomplished. I do not repent of it, having only resolved on it after examining and weighing everything, and because I thought it necessary for the Church. If it were not done, I would do it now. But this suppression will be my death. Pope Clement XIV knew the Jesuits very well and expected to die at their hands. He was correct. He was poisoned. A peasant woman was persuaded by means of a disguise to procure entrance into the Vatican and offered to the Pope a fig in which poison was concealed. Clement XIV was exceedingly fond of this fruit and ate it without hesitation. The same day the first symptoms of severe illness were observed, and to these rapidly succeeding violent inflammation of the bowels. He soon became convinced that he was poisoned and remarked, "Alas, I knew they would poison me, but I did not expect to die in so slow and cruel a manner." His terrible sufferings continued for several months. When he died, the poor victim, said Comenon, of the execrable Jesuits to which the Bishop of Pistoia, Scipio di Ricci, the nephew and heir of Jesuit General Ricci, fully agreed. Pope Pius VII, the Pope who restored the Society of Jesus. Soon after Pope Pius VII was released from Napoleon's prison in 1814, he quickly restored the Society of Jesus with the papal bull Sollicitudo Omnium Ecclesiarum. If any should again attempt to abolish it, the Society of Jesus, he would incur the indignation of Almighty God and of the holy apostles Peter and Paul. John Adams, 1735-1826, second President of the United States of America. In 1816, John Adams wrote to Thomas Jefferson, third President of the United States, regarding the restoration of the Society of Jesus. My history of the Jesuits is not eloquently written, but it is supported by unquestionable authorities, is very particular and very horrible. Their restoration is indeed a step toward darkness, cruelty, perfidy, despotism, death. I do not like the appearance of the Jesuits. If ever there were a body of men who merited eternal damnation on earth and in hell, it is this Society of Loyolas. Shall we not have regular swarms of them here, in as many disguises as only a king of the gypsies can assume, dressed as painters, publishers, writers, and schoolmasters? If ever there was a body of men who merited eternal damnation on earth and in hell, it is this Society of Loyolas. We are compelled by our system to offer them asylum. Napoleon Bonaparte, 1769 to 1821, Emperor of the French. The Jesuits are a military organization, not a religious order. Their chief is a general of an army, not the mere father abbot of a monastery. And the aim of this organization is power. Power in its most despotic exercise. Absolute power, universal power, power to control the world by the volition of a single man. Jesuitism is the most absolute of despotisms, and at the same time the greatest and most enormous of abuses. The general of the Jesuits insists on being master sovereign over the sovereign. Wherever the Jesuits are admitted, they will be masters, cost what it may. Their society is by nature dictatorial, and therefore it is the irreconcilable enemy of all constituted authority. Every act, every crime, however atrocious, is a meritorious work, if committed for the interest of the Society of the Jesuits or by the order of the general. Adam Weishaupt, 1748 to 1830, a Jesuit German philosopher and founder of the Order of the Illuminati. The degree of power to which the representatives of the Society of Jesus had been able to attain in Bavaria was all but absolute. Members of the order were the confessors and preceptors of the electors, hence they had a direct influence upon the policies of government. The censorship of religion had fallen into their eager hands, to the extent that some of the parishes even were compelled to recognize their authority and power. To exterminate all Protestant influence and to render the Catholic establishment complete, they had taken possession of the instruments of public education. It was by Jesuits that the majority of the Bavarian colleges were founded, and by them they were controlled. By them also the secondary schools of the country were conducted. The Marquis de Lafayette, 1757 to 1834, a French statesman and general. It is my opinion that if the liberties of this country, the United States of America, are destroyed, it will be by the subtlety of the Roman Catholic Jesuit priests, for they are the most crafty, dangerous enemies to civil and religious liberty. They have instigated most of the wars of Europe. Friedrich von Hardenberg, 1772 to 1801, German philosopher. Never before in the course of the world's history had such a society, that is, the Jesuit order, appeared. The old Roman Senate itself did not lay schemes for world domination with greater certainty of success. André-Marie Jean-Jacques Dupin, 1783 to 1865, a French statesman. The Jesuits are a naked sword whose hilt is at Rome, but its blade is everywhere, invisible until its stroke is felt. Samuel Morse, 1791 to 1872, American inventor of the telegraph. They are Jesuits. This society of men, after exerting their tyranny for upwards of 200 years, at length became so formidable to the world, threatening the entire subversion of all social order, that even the Pope, whose devoted subjects they are, and must be, by the vow of their society, was compelled to dissolve them. They had not been suppressed, however, for 50 years before the waning influence of popery and despotism required their useful labors to resist the light of democratic liberty, and the Pope, Pius VII, simultaneously with the formation of the Holy Alliance, revived the order of the Jesuits in all their aureory. From their vow of unqualified submission to the sovereign pontiff, they have been appropriately called the Pope's bodyguard. And do Americans need to be told what Jesuits are? They are a secret society, a sort of Masonic order, with super-added features of revolting odiousness, and 1,000 times more dangerous. They are not merely priests or of one religious creed. They are merchants and lawyers and editors and men of any profession having no outward badge in this country by which to be recognized. They are about in all your society. They can assume any character, that of angels of light or ministers of darkness, to accomplish their one great end, the service upon which they are sent, whatever that service may be. They are all educated men, prepared and sworn to start at any moment and in any direction, and for any service, commanded by the general of their order, bound to no family, community, or country by the ordinary ties which bind men, and sold for life to the cause of the Roman Pontiff. And who are these agents? They are for the most part Jesuits, an ecclesiastical order proverbial through the world for cunning, duplicity, and total want of moral principle, an order so skilled in all the arts of deception that even in Catholic countries, in Italy itself, it became intolerable and the people required its suppression. Orestes Augustus Brownson, 1803 to 1876, New England intellectual and activist, preacher, labor organizer, and noted Catholic convert and writer. Undoubtedly, it is the intention of the Pope to possess this country, America. In this intention, he is aided by the Jesuits and all the Catholic prelates and priests. If the Catholic Church becomes predominant here, Protestants will all be exterminated. Abraham Lincoln, 1809 to 1865, 16th President of the United States of America. This war, the American Civil War, 1860 to 1865, would never have been possible without the sinister influence of the Jesuits. We owe it to Popery that we now see our land reddened with the blood of her noblest sons. Though there were great differences of opinion between the South and North on the question of slavery, neither Jeff Davis nor any one of the leading men of the Confederacy would have dared to attack the North had they not relied on the promise of the Jesuits that under the mask of democracy, the money and the arms of the Roman Catholics, even the arms of France, were at their disposal if they would attack us. The Protestants of both the North and South would surely unite to exterminate the priests and the Jesuits if they could learn how the priests and nuns and the monks which daily land on our shores under the pretext of preaching their religion are nothing else but the emissaries of the Pope, of Napoleon III, and the other despots of Europe to undermine our institutions, alienate the hearts of our people from our Constitution and our laws, destroy our schools, and prepare a reign of anarchy here as they have done in Ireland, in Mexico, in Spain, and wherever there are any people who want to be free. I am so glad to meet you again, he said. You'll see that your friends the Jesuits have not yet killed me, but they would have surely done it when I passed through the most devoted city, Baltimore, had I not defeated their plans by passing incognito a few hours before they expected me. New projects of assassination are detected almost every day, accompanied with such savage circumstances that they bring to my memory the massacre of St. Bartholomew and the gunpowder plot. We feel, at their investigation, that they come from the same masters in the art of murder, the Jesuits. So many plots have already been made against my life that it is a real miracle that they have all failed when we consider that the great majority of them were in the hands of skillful Roman Catholic murderers evidently trained by the Jesuits. I know that Jesuits never forget nor forsake, but man must not care how and where he dies, provided he dies at the post of honor and duty. Charles Chineke, 1809 to 1899, Canadian ex-Catholic priest. From that the Catholic priests with the most admirable ability and success have gathered their Irish legions into the great cities of the United States, and the American people must be very blind indeed if they do not see that if they do nothing to prevent it, the day is very near when the Jesuits will rule their country, from the magnificent White House at Washington to the humblest civil and military department of this vast republic. Brigadier General Thomas M. Harris, 1817 to 1906, physician and Union General during the Civil War. The organization of the Roman Catholic hierarchy is a complete military despotism of which the Pope is the ostensible head. The Black Pope is the head of the Order of the Jesuits and is called a general. He not only has command of his own order, but directs and controls the general policy of the Roman Catholic Church. He is the power behind the throne and is the real potential head of the hierarchy. There is no independence of thought or of action in its subordinate parts, implicit and unquestioning obedience to the orders of superiors in authority is the sworn duty of the priesthood of every grade. It would seem that the Jesuits had had it in mind from the beginning of the war, the American Civil War of 1861 to 1865, to find an occasion for the taking off, that is the assassination, of Mr. Abraham Lincoln. The favorite policy of the Jesuits is that of assassination. Fyodor Dostoevsky, 1821 to 1881, famous Russian novelist. The Jesuits are simply the Roman army for the earthly sovereignty of the world in the future, with the Pontiff of Rome for emperor. That's their ideal. It's simple lust of power, a filthy earthly gain of domination, something like a universal serfdom with them as masters. That's all they stand for. They don't even believe in God, perhaps. Margaret F. Cusick, 1829 to 1899, converted nun of Kenmare. The great idea of the Jesuit has always been a universal spiritual and temporal monarchy in which the Jesuit should reign supreme. England has always been the place desired for the base of operations necessary for this end. Hence the blood, the tears shed, and the schemes undertaken in this country by the Jesuit. He has by no means ended his efforts for the subjugation of the world to Rome through England. When the Jesuit is expelled from one place, he is not slow to find another. France may reject him, not without cause, but England opens her arms to him. Catholic Italy may deprive him of the glories of his once famous home in the Jesuits, but America opens her doors to him. He is the wandering Jew of the Romish Church. He is followed by the execrations of those by whom he was once beloved until they discovered his iniquities.